Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
I am. Where are we headed today?
Well, today we're going to the Himalayas, to Bhutan specifically.
Ah, the land of the Thunder Dragon.
Exactly. It's always seemed so mysterious to me.
It's definitely unique.
So we've got some excerpts from a book, Wonders of Bhutan, I think it's called,
Sounds good.
to help guide our deep dive into this last independent Buddhist kingdom.
Last remaining Buddhist kingdom in the Himalayas.
Yeah. Why do you think Bhutan has captured people's imaginations for so long?
Well, it's a place that has really held on to its traditions
Mm-hmm.
and its own way of life, even with, modernization happening all around them.
Right.
There's this idea that they value happiness above all else.
Yeah. Gross national happiness. I've heard that term before.
That's it.
Not really sure I understand what it means, though.
It's a fascinating concept. I mean, instead of just looking at, economic indicators,
Right.
they actually measure the well-being of their people, and they use that to guide their policy decisions. Pretty cool, huh?
Definitely different. Okay, so
Before we get too far into that, can we set the scene a little?
sure.
What's Bhutan like? Geographically, I mean.
Oh, it's incredible. Landlocked.
Yeah.
Right in the heart of the Himalayas.
Oh, wow. So between India and China,
Exactly.
our book talked about, like, soaring mountains and lush valleys.
Oh, yeah. It's all there. And forests. Don't forget the forests.
Sounds breathtaking.
It is. And, being nestled in those mountains like that, it kept Bhutan pretty isolated.
Really?
For centuries. It wasn't until like the 20th century that they started opening up more to the outside world.
Oh, wow. I hadn't realized they were so isolated for so long.
Yeah, it's really shaped their development. And speaking of shaping, let's talk about their history a bit.
Okay.
They were ruled by a dynasty of kings called the Chogyals.
The Shogyals.
For a long time, they were very focused on preserving their cultural traditions.
So even as things started modernizing, they made sure to protect their heritage. Exactly. And you can see that everywhere, in their architecture, their art, everything.
That's so cool. The book actually mentioned these amazing festivals, the Chechu festivals.
Oh, they're incredible. Have you seen pictures?
Some. They're so vibrant and colorful, and the costumes.
The masks.
Right.
They perform these mask dances called cham.
Cham.
They're just mesmerizing.
So they take place in like a dzong, right? Like a fortress, monastery type of building.
You got it. And monks. And these incredibly detailed masks and costumes.
Wow.
Telling stories mostly about Guru Rinpoche.
Guru Rinpoche.
Yeah, he's a really important figure in Bhutanese Buddhism. He brought Buddhism to Bhutan.
So these dances, are they, they're not just for show, are they?
No. They're deeply spiritual.
Yeah.
People believe they earn merit by watching them, and they can ward off bad luck.
Fascinating. Even their everyday clothing seems to have a deeper meaning, right?
Oh, absolutely. The go for men.
Yeah, like a knee-length robe.
Yeah. It symbolizes simplicity and detachment, which are key Buddhist principles.
Makes sense. And for women, there's the kira, right?
Mm-hmm. The kira is often made with these beautifully patterned fabrics.
Yeah. I saw some pictures in the book. So vibrant.
It's a real celebration of their artistic heritage.
It's amazing how everything seems to be tied back to their beliefs. It's not just about the festivals or the clothes.
No, not at all. Mahayana Buddhism, it's really at the core of Bhutanese identity. It influences everything, from their art and architecture to the way people interact with each other and with nature.
Speaking of architecture, we have to talk about Tiger's Nest.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
Parotaksang.
It's like perched on the side of a cliff, right?
It is a sheer cliff face,
Yeah.
thousands of feet up. Absolutely stunning.
How did they even build something like that?
Well, legend has it that Guru Rinpoche, the guy who brought Buddhism to Bhutan,
Right.
he flew there in the back of a tigress and meditated in a cave on that very spot.
No way.
Yeah. And so they built the monastery to honor that sacred event.
I can't even imagine the effort that went into that.
It's a testament to their dedication.
Yeah.
And it's become a symbol of the spiritual journey.
Wow. So are there other dzongs or monasteries that are must-sees?
Oh, tons. Punakha Dzong is another incredible one.
Oh, that dzong.
It was their winter capital for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's situated at the confluence of two rivers, the Mochu and the Fochu.
Wow. So we've got the mountains, we've got the monasteries, the festivals. It's like stepping back in time. But Bhutan is a modern country too, right?
It is. It's not stuck in the past.
Yeah.
They've been very intentional about modernizing in a way that doesn't compromise their values
Right.
and their environment.
Yeah, the book talked about them being carbon negative,
That's right.
which is like the opposite of what most of the world is doing.
Pretty much. It's
Oh,
incredible. Their constitution actually mandates environmental protection.
that's amazing. I mean, I can picture the snow-capped mountains and the lush
Oh,
forests.
it's even more stunning in person.
Mm,
They have these protected areas like Jigme Dorji National Park.
mhm.
It's home to snow leopards and blue poppies and all sorts of amazing creatures.
Wow. And then there's the Fujika Valley.
Yes, known for its beauty and for being a winter home to the endangered black-necked crane.
Those cranes are beautiful. I've seen pictures.
They are incredible birds.
You know, it sounds like nature isn't just something to be admired there. It's woven into their spirituality and their whole way of life.
It really is.
All this talk about mountains and valleys is making me want to go on a trek. What are the popular trekking routes in Bhutan?
Oh, they have some of the best trekking in the world. There's the Snowman Trek.
I've heard of that one. It's supposed to be super challenging.
It is high altitude, rugged terrain, not for beginners.
Yikes. What about something a little more approachable?
Well, there's the Drug Path Trek. It's really popular.
Black path.
It takes you through forests, over mountain passes, past ancient monasteries.
Sounds amazing.
It's a great way to experience the beauty and the culture of Bhutan.
All this talk about Bhutan is making me hungry, honestly. What's their food like?
You're in for a treat. It's a mix of Tibetan, Indian, and Chinese influences. And they love their spice.
Bring on the spice. The book mentioned something called imadachi. Is that like their national dish?
It's pretty close. It's a stew, basically.
Yeah.
Chilies, cheese, onions, tomatoes. You'll find it everywhere.
That sounds amazing. And the book also mentioned momo, like dumplings, right?
Yes, steamed dumplings
Yeah.
filled with meat or veggies. They usually come with a spicy dipping sauce. So good.
Oh, I love dumplings. Okay, we need to circle back to this idea of gross national happiness.
Okay.
You said it's more than just an abstract idea, right? They actually measure it.
They do. They have this whole index that looks at psychological well-being, health, education, community, how people use their time, all sorts of factors.
Wow, that's pretty comprehensive. So it's like making sure their development benefits everyone, not just economically, but in every aspect of life.
Exactly. It's about making sure progress actually leads to happiness. Pretty revolutionary, if you ask me.
It is. It's so different from how most of the world operates. Okay, I think we need a moment to process all this.
We've covered a lot of ground.
When we come back, we'll dive into some of the other fascinating aspects of Bhutanese culture, like their arts and crafts, their approach to tourism, and maybe even some surprises along the way. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. I don't know about you, but my head is spinning a little bit.
That's a lot to take in, that's for sure.
So much. Before the break, we were just starting to touch on the richness of Bhutanese culture.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible how they've managed to preserve so much of their heritage.
The book mentions something called a Zorig Tusum.
That's it, the 13 arts and crafts.
13. Seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Woodworking, painting, sculpture, weaving, embroidery. The list goes on.
That's a lot of crafts.
Yeah.
What are some of the standouts for you?
Well, the wood carving is incredible. You see these intricate details everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. The book mentioned temples and homes, right?
Right.
With all those carvings of like deities and mythical creatures.
Exactly. And scenes from Buddhist scriptures. It's like walking into a work of art.
What about those Thanka paintings? Those caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. The Thankas are amazing. They're these vibrant scrolls, usually painted on silk or cotton, with these really detailed depictions of Buddhist deities and mandalas.
They're so colorful. They almost look like stained glass windows.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're actually used as visual aids for meditation and religious practice.
That's interesting. So each element has a specific meaning.
Everything is symbolic. The colors, the composition, the gestures of the figures. It's fascinating.
Definitely something I'd love to learn more about. We were talking about the kira earlier.
Right, the traditional women's attire.
It's not just clothing, though, is it?
No, it's a symbol of their cultural identity and heritage. And the weaving process itself is considered an art form.
Yeah. I was reading about how the patterns and colors often have special meanings.
Absolutely. It's like a language woven into the fabric.
Wow. It's amazing that these crafts are still practiced today. It's not just something they keep in museums.
Exactly. They're part of daily life. And they play a huge role in their economy, especially with tourism.
That brings us to another interesting topic, Bhutan's approach to tourism.
It's definitely unique.
They have this, what was it called? High value, low impact tourism.
That's it. And the minimum daily tariff. Remember that.
Right, right. Can you explain what that means exactly?
Sure. Basically, they want to make sure that tourism benefits their people and their environment.
So it's not about attracting as many tourists as possible.
Nope. It's about attracting the right kind of tourists, people who are genuinely interested in experiencing Bhutan.
And who are willing to pay a premium for it.
Yeah, the minimum daily tariff covers accommodation, meals, a guide, and a sustainability fee.
So it helps regulate the flow of tourism.
Exactly. And it ensures that the revenue generated actually goes back into supporting the country.
Makes sense. And the book mentioned that a big chunk of that fee goes towards education, healthcare, and conservation efforts.
That's right. They're very committed to sustainable development.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, they could probably make a lot more money if they just open the floodgates to mass tourism.
They could,
Yeah.
but they're choosing to prioritize their values and their long-term well-being over short-term profits.
It's refreshing, isn't it? They're not just chasing the almighty dollar.
Exactly. They understand that true wealth lies in the happiness of their people and the preservation of their environment.
This whole idea of balance keeps coming up. It's like they're finding a way to embrace modernity without losing sight of their traditions.
They are. And that brings us to something that might surprise you about Bhutan, their relationship with technology.
Really? What's so surprising about that? Everyone's got smartphones these days, right?
Not so fast. Remember how isolated Bhutan was for centuries? Well, get this. Television wasn't even introduced there until 1999.
Wow. Seriously, that recently, that's wild. I can't imagine living without the internet, let alone TV.
And internet access came shortly after that. But here's the thing. They were very deliberate about how they introduced these technologies.
So it wasn't just this, like, sudden influx of technology?
No. They approached it with the same thoughtfulness they applied to everything else.
So they weren't afraid of technology, but they were cautious about its potential impact.
Exactly. They recognized that it could be a powerful tool for education and communication. But they also wanted to make sure it didn't erode their culture or create a digital divide.
That's smart. So how do they manage that?
Well, for one thing, they focused on bringing technology to rural communities, making sure everyone had access.
It makes sense.
And they've also been really proactive about promoting Bhutanese content online and on TV.
So making sure their own stories and perspectives aren't lost in the sea of global media.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where technology enhances their lives without overwhelming their culture.
It's like they're finding a way to make technology work for them instead of the other way around.
They are. For example, they've developed educational apps that teach kids about Bhutanese history and culture, and they use social media to promote their tourism industry and share their unique perspective with the world.
It's really inspiring to see a country that's so intentional about its development. They're not just letting things happen to them, they're actively shaping their future.
They are. And that brings us to one final aspect of Bhutanese culture that we haven't touched on yet.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Well, it might challenge your perception of Bhutan as this peaceful, spiritual nation.
Okay, now you've got me really curious. Lay it on me.
Let's just say that Bhutan has a unique relationship with competition.
Competition? You mean like sports? I thought they were all about harmony and compassion.
They are, but they also have this vibrant competitive spirit that might surprise you.
This is fascinating. I can't wait to hear more. I think this is the perfect place to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into this unexpected side of Bhutanese culture and explore what it reveals about their unique approach to life. Stay with us.
Okay, we're back and ready to uncover this competitive side of Bhutan. You really piqued my curiosity with that one.
Well, you know how we talked about Bhutan valuing harmony and compassion?
Right.
They do, very much. But it's not like they shy away from a good challenge.
So it's not about being aggressive or anything like that?
No, not at all. It's more about, I guess you could say it's about pushing themselves.
To be their best.
Yeah, and also celebrating, skill and strategy.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
But what kinds of things are they competing in? You mentioned sports before the break.
Oh, yeah. Sports are huge in Bhutan, especially archery.
Archery.
Mm-hmm. That's their national sport.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Archery competitions are like big social events.
Oh, yeah. People get dressed up in traditional clothes. There's music, singing, cheering. It's a whole thing.
So it's not just about hitting the target?
No, it's definitely a social thing.
Yeah.
But they take the competition seriously, too. There's a lot of rivalry between teams.
I can see that. I mean, archery requires a lot of focus and precision. I imagine that could get pretty competitive.
It does, but it's all in good fun. And then there are the darks.
Darts, like pub darts.
Not exactly. Bhutanese darts are much heavier, and the target is smaller.
So, more of a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of strength to throw them. And accuracy, of course. And a little bit of luck never hurts.
It sounds intense and maybe a bit dangerous.
Well, they have safety precautions, of course.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not your average game of darts.
You know, it's interesting how these sports, archery and darts, they seem to combine physical skill with mental discipline.
Exactly. And that really aligns with their Buddhist philosophy.
It's not just about winning or losing, right?
No, it's about self-improvement, about pushing yourself to be better, and about the camaraderie of competition.
I like that. It's like competition can be a positive force.
It can, when it's done right. And Bhutan seems to have found a way to make it work for them.
It's another example of them finding that balance, right, between individual achievement and community.
Yeah. It's really impressive how they weave these seemingly opposite ideas together. It's something I've always admired about Bhutan.
Me too. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the mountains, the monasteries, the festivals, the food, the philosophy, even the competitive spirit.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And it's really opened my eyes to this unique and fascinating culture. It's like they've found a way to create a society that prioritizes happiness, sustainability, and cultural preservation, all while embracing the modern world on their own terms.
And they're showing the rest of us that it's possible, that there's another way to live, a way that values well-being over just material wealth.
Exactly. Well, to our listener, we hope this deep dive has left you as inspired as we are. Bhutan's story is a reminder that there's always more to discover, always more to learn, and always new ways to think about the world and our place in it.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those hidden gems of knowledge that make life so rich and rewarding.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure.